In this video, we'll explore where unconditional love truly comes from, and how a sense of emptiness, or a void, can form when our emotional needs aren't met during childhood.
Okay, so now we're going to ask, that unconditional love, who do you get it from? Who do you get unconditional love from? Some of you will say. Some of you will say no one. Because you don't even get it from yourself, let's be honest. We have to be honest here. Okay, so I'm going to explore this. What does the structure of a house depend on? We take a house, yes? What's the most important structure, foundation? So I'm going to use this as a metaphor for you getting your unconditional love and all the ego needs as well. So, who goes in the foundation? Who are you depending on? Your parents, spouse, partner. Society. Who in society? So kids. Anybody got a pet at home? None of you have. And sometimes people say the dog. Now, the dogs are the best. Why? They give unconditional love. They don't talk about, and they don't expect it. And even if you had an argument with the dog, when you come back from work and you open the door, they're still happy. Is that true of our partner? Is that true of our partner? We had an argument with a partner. When we come back, we're like putting in the key really slowly. Oh no! What time do you call this? Right? So the dog is especially a person who gives unconditional love. However, what happens every 12 years? So if this is the foundation, all of a sudden the dog was in our foundation, all of a sudden the dog is no longer there, what happens? Correct. Now there's a void here, and this thing, the house, collapses. This, my friends, is not a good model to live a life, but this is how we live a life. As soon as we get a partner, stick them in the foundation. Anybody who shows us affection, stick them in the foundation. Anybody who starts to give us what we are lacking, stick them in the foundation. Then the one day, the one time they stop giving us that, what happens? The house collapses, and what do? This is what happens. You spiral down. Now when you look at it like this, now you can understand why you're in complete chaos. You're shouting at your partner, your kids, your parent, whoever it is. I have one person in the community in Birmingham. Her mother passed away, and she was an absolute wreck for 2 years. Why? Where was her mum? She was in the foundation. It's a problem. I'll show you what needs to happen in a moment. But first of all, to recognize this, whoever you have in the foundation, can you rely on them? Do you have bad days? Are there days where you are not going to be able to give? So we are all fallible soldiers. You cannot put fallible soldiers in your foundation. It is a recipe for, what's the title of this talk? Heartbreak. Now you can understand. Heartbreak to heartfelt, we're going to change this. We're going to change the model so it's not that bad. Of course you are going to be sad if something happens to your parents or your kids or something like that. That's normal. But it's not to the extent where you cannot function anymore. Where you can't exist anymore. All right. So I'm going to use this. I like to use hearts. I'm going to use this as a metaphor for this part. Now, what I've noticed, this is examining myself. I haven't read this anywhere. Again, this is just dealing with hundreds of clients. This is dealing with myself and analyzing and understanding. What I've noticed is this. So this, you notice, what did I call this? When somebody is no longer there, what happens in here? There is a void or a vacuum. So I just wanted to elaborate on this. So I've actually called this the void. So if you take this as two separate parts, two halves, so one is the soul and one is the ego. Now I'm going to talk about something a little bit sensitive here, so I want to caveat this. I want to put a warning, or the small print first. What I'm about to say about your parents, this is not to blame them. So I want to make it right clear from the beginning. Okay? We're going to talk about your parents right now, but this is not to blame them. This is nothing against them. I always have the mood that our parents tried to do the best that they could with their knowledge. However, we do need to understand the consequence. And it's our responsibility, not theirs. They did the best they could, but now it's our responsibility to understand the consequence of it and then to rectify it if necessary. Okay? So this part is a little bit heart-churning. So the soul is there. What's the need of the soul? Unconditional love. What's the need of the ego? So many things. Right? So now I'm going to ask you, in your childhood, leading up to, say, up to about the age of 14, did you get unconditional love from your parents? And the soul, this side, the unconditional love side, we generally say it's the mum. And the ego side, the approval and things like that, we generally say it's more, we more look for that from our dad. This is a generalization. Of course, you also get unconditional love from your dad. Of course, you can get approval, etc., from your mom. But in general, psychology is like that. We look for those things. So this is a private exercise. This is not for you to say out loud. This is for you to do on your piece of paper. If you go back to your childhood, go to when you were 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, what was your relationship like with them? Did you get unconditional love? And did you get whatever your needs of your ego, whether it's that? So what I'm going to ask you to do is give a figure. This is, again, just private to you. You write it on your sheet. Put a figure here of what percentage you would say is filled here. What percentage is here? So let me give you an example. One client came to me and I explained this to him, and he had a real issue because any time he had a conversation with his father, he nosedived. He would go on a drinking binge, he would go crazy, he would just go uncontrollable. So I thought that's really interesting. Okay, let's look at that relationship. When I asked him about this, he said 100% from his mom. Unconditional. He doesn't need to say, I love myself. He has that already. Nice. But when I examined this side, it was 0. His dad never, ever, ever gave him any kind of approval, any kind of acknowledgement. Well done, son. And it was so bad that even he's done so well in his business, his dad, still to this day, didn't say anything. And when he bought his dad a ticket to go on a worldwide trip, his dad went on that trip. Before going on it, when he bought the ticket for his dad said to him, why did you do that? I was just like, phew. And he went off on this spiral. And that's when he came to me. He was off on this track. He's like, I can't control myself. I don't know what's going on. When I explained this to him, then he realized that he has a void in this half. The void is here. Who is it? His dad, not his parent, his dad specifically. He had put his dad in the foundation. Dad never acknowledged, never gave him that thing that created this void. That when he goes to his dad and wants that thing from him, wants that approval from him, why does he spiral? Because now there's a void here. He's gone to him, he didn't receive it back, he spirals. And it's uncontrollable, it's insatiable. He's doing things that even he himself is like, why am I doing this? He can't control it. It's because there's a void here, and this is what we need to address. So now I'm going to ask you, I just gave you that as an example, and I'm going to ask all of you, what did you get from your mum, especially? What percentage would you say? What percentage would you say you got in terms of your needs of your ego, approval, attention, appreciation, acknowledgement? And just write, this is just for you, write down what percentage on each side. I'll give you a few seconds to do that.
All right, take a moment to answer these questions. And remember, we're looking at this from the perspective of your younger self, so be honest, and don't try to justify or explain anything just yet. Simply reflect on how it truly felt back then. If you need more time to think, feel free to pause the video and continue when you're ready.
Okay, so whatever the number is, I did this exercise with one client, and she said like about 20% was unconditional love from her mum, and then again about 20% she said was was approval, etc. from her dad. So now this area here, what is this? The void. So this I'm going to call void number 1. Oops. And there's a void here as well. So this I'm going to call void number 2. Okay, so I'll refer to those differently. So just going back to this client, I'm very happy to say, once we address this, once I taught him about how to address the void, he no longer drinks. He's absolutely given up. Because until we didn't address this, until he didn't realize what was actually going on, he couldn't control it. His addiction was completely gone. Isn't it amazing? So this is the same here. Now these addictions here will be slightly different. So look at it for you. What is it? So just in your head, don't say it out loud. What is it? What are the percentages here? These are the percentages that are in here. Now what happens is, let's say somebody here has, so in this case, 80% is a void of love. This is a lady, a girl. What is she looking for? So I now attribute it to this. What is she looking for from her husband? She's looking for unconditional love from her husband. Is it a normal expectation?
No.
Why?
Conditioned to think that way.
It's not. It's conditioned. Correct. Conditioned to what though? It's conditioned to the heart. It's conditioned to what she lacks. What was missing from her past. But now who is she looking for to give that to her? Her partner. You see, because she's like this. 20%. Now she's demanding my partner, her husband. My husband needs to fill this other 80%. And as soon as he doesn't, what happens? Is it a normal kind of anger? What is it? It's rage. Uncontrollable anger. Because this is a need. You cannot have a vacuum in the heart. When you have a vacuum, you will do anything to get it. You will do anything. You will fight. You will, I don't know, even if the partner is the wrong person, you'll want to keep that partner. Just with the hope that they will give us unconditional love. It never happens. Let me just say the truth. If you are looking for somebody else to fill that void, it's never going to happen. It doesn't work like that, actually. It's not supposed to work like that. This void has to be filled by who and who alone? Until we don't recognize that, Till we don't start addressing that, you're always going to have heartbreak in your relationships because you are looking for somebody else to fill that void. And it's not meant to be filled by somebody else. So at this, I'm talking about the love. Now the same principle is true of the approval. Once, for that client, once I broke the expectation on the father to give that approval, once he realized, right, I do it for myself, everything changed. Now when his father doesn't give him approval, he's okay with that. He doesn't fall off the cliff because there's no longer a void. He's filled it himself. Beautiful. General psychology is we want approval, we want acknowledgement, we want dad to say, oh, I'm proud of you. How many of you had your dad say, I'm proud of you? I'll say, I didn't. I got my GCSE exam results. I had 10 A's and I got 1 B. And my dad was like, why did you get a B? And by the way, I love my dad, like he's changed a lot since then, but that was just the old school mentality. So that's why I said we don't blame them, they just did whatever they know. But the point is here, it's our responsibility to rectify this. It's our responsibility to stop chasing, filling the void from other people, from our partner, from whoever else it is. Some people are still chasing their parents, looking for that approval and not getting it and falling off the edge, falling off the cliff. I just wanted to let that sink in.
In this lesson, we explored where unconditional love truly comes from and how a deep emotional void can form when our needs aren't fully met in childhood. We learned that this void cannot be filled by others. Seeking love or validation externally often leads to disappointment and heartbreak. True healing begins when we take responsibility for filling that void ourselves. And Nij is going to share how to do this in the next few videos. Take a moment to reflect on what stood out to you most in this lesson. Share your thoughts in the comment section below.